I am Nick Shell, a certified Enneagram coach. This book, The Honest Enneagram, I'm specifically going to be talking about it in this video. Sarah Jane Case has written this book. She doesn't know me, but I always talk about her book in all my recent videos, and there's always a link right there where you can buy her book off of Amazon. You can also find out your Enneagram type, possibly by taking that quiz. And also, if you want to become certified like I am, there's a link for that as well. Here's what I want to talk about, again, based very specifically on this book, The Honest Enneagram, is the concept that we have, whatever your number is, well, guess what? That's not enough, because there's 3 subtypes of whatever number that you are. And this is the best book that exists, I'm telling you, as a certified Enneagram coach. Best book that exists on the market for understanding specifically the 3 separate subtypes of every number and how that ultimately has an effect on you. So it is my belief, this is my educated perception, and not everybody agrees on this. So this is why I want to tell you what I believe. I believe that you're born with your Enneagram number. I've seen it with my own kids. I've watched them from the time they were born, from infants growing up. Their basic personalities have never changed. Their numbers have always been the same, and I've seen that with them. And I can see with myself now, understand what my number is. I can see, yeah, I've always been this way. I was a scared little boy, and as I got older, I became more confident, I became more, counterphobic, but still it didn't change that everything I do in some way is me acting against or because of my fear and anxiety. It's always been that way my entire life. So my perception is your number doesn't change, but what does change, maybe your subtype does. Now, you could say, well, what about your dominant wing? Well, see, the thing about wings is they're not quite as concrete as we'd like for them to be. Yes, I am a 6 with a dominant wing 7. But man, am I introverted. I really am, and most people don't believe that. But I know I'm very much an introvert. I just have an outgoing personality, which makes me think, oh, there's nothing 5 about you. No, there's a lot of 5 about me if you really knew me. It's a big part of me. But ultimately, the 7 is what stands out more to people, and that's what they see. But it's not so cut or dry that here's your dominant wing, that's absolutely it. You're still a lot of the other wing. I mean, think about this. It's not like, so you got 2 wings, right? So it's not like you're 100% this wing and 0% of that. No. I mean, I think the reality is a lot of people, maybe it's like 70%, 30%, or even 50-50. I think my dad, he's an Enneagram 5. I think he's right in the middle. I think he's between a 4 and a 6 as far as his dominant wing. And I think some people are just straight in the middle. So to say that your dominant wing can change over time, it could be that stage in your life or whatever thing you're doing, it may stand at a certain point. I may be, dominant 7 wing, but ultimately at work, when I'm not talking to people, I'm a 5 during that. So I don't put a whole lot of stock in that as far as your wing changing, because I would say your wing changes throughout minute to minute, depending on what you're doing. But I think your subtype, I think as you mature and as you go through things in life, I think that can definitely fluctuate. So there's 3 subtypes. I'm going to give this example of how personally I feel, even from a month or so ago when I identified as 6 wing 7, and then my dominant subtype I said was the sexual one, and then the social. Either it's changed or I have a better understanding, but now I would say, no, actually, now that I understand it, the social is the main subtype, and then the sexual is the next one in line, and then after that is the self-preservation. So in this order, I'm going to read from this book, and I'm going to explain how this is all me, and it's in rotation, but the first reaction is to go to my social subtype. Here it is. This is Enneagram 6. That's me. Finds comfort in relying on authority. Now granted, I absolutely question authority figures because they're people just like me, but ultimately, I would rather there be order than to be chaos, and that is important to me. Focused on understanding and fulfilling his or her role. I'm an Enneagram coach largely for that reason. I need to understand myself and those around me. Is in constant pursuit of understanding the rules and expectations. Yes, because I either want to follow them, break them, or find a better way to do them. I need to know what my role is in society. believes that everything will go wrong, so focuses on doing the right thing or the proactive thing, can become fanatic for his or her belief system. What do you think this channel is? Legalistic? Ask my family, they'll tell you yes. Punctual? Yeah. I'm one of those people, being on time is being late. Precise, responsible, yeah, okay, that's me. Can look like a type 1 or a 3. And when I first heard about Enneagram, I actually thought I was a type 1. I'm not, but I can look that way if you don't know better. Now, I would say my secondary subtype, is sexual, which I'm about to get into. But I would say for much of my 30s, this was my more dominant one. And as I've kind of mellowed out and understand myself better, I can relate better to the social that I just described. But this is kind of still my backup. Sexual. Turns against fear and leans into strength. When feeling fear, leans into it and runs toward it, bold and fierce, often focused on being physically strong. I still go to the gym constantly. I have a very strict diet. None of that has changed. That's still all there. Takes on an intimidating stance. Has a need to be the contrarian, focuses on being the opposite of the group, often likes to disrupt or stir up trouble in my own kind of funny ways that I do. Can look like a type 8. All right. And I've tested as an 8 multiple times. I've never tested as a 6. That's fun. Okay. So here's my blind spot, this self-preservation. This is definitely part of me, but I'm the least in tune with it. And this was more so me when I was a boy. I was afraid little boy. This was me here. Self-preservation. The most phobic subtype. Like as a little boy, I'll put it this way. Multiple times I would spend the night with a friend and then cry and my parents would pick me up. I was that kind of little boy. I obviously changed and matured, but that was me. Relationship-oriented, craves outside support, warm and friendly, fears disappointing others, has a difficult time making decisions, carries a lot of blame and guilt, and can look like a 2. So those are my blind spots. And even just last night I was talking to someone and they helped me understand I do carry specifically a lot of guilt. Maybe not so much blame, but I definitely carry guilt. And this person said, Nick, what have you done? Have you done some kind of horrible thing in your life that makes you feel this way? I said, no, I think it's just part of the complex that 6s often have. 6 is this concept that, do I really belong in this world? Do I really belong in this family, in this society? Do I belong here? And then ultimately, this feeling that, but am I good enough? And it's not, I feel like so many people are like, I'm a good person. I'm a good person. I try to help people. I do try to help people. I don't do bad things. I do everything I can to help people. But there's this underlying feeling that still I'm not a good person. And I guess that's that guilt I carry with me as part of my blind spot in my subtype here. So yeah, I've seen how my subtypes have fluctuated. I started as a boy as self-preservation. For most of my life, I was social. Then I went through some challenging parts of my life and switched it into more so the self-preservation. And I think now I'm back to social again. I think for me is the healthy one to be in. So, do you have any thoughts about that? We could talk more about it. We could talk about you if you leave a comment. I don't know. We could see what happens. Comments right there.